Friends, we are getting into the WoW walkthrough with myself, Mama Moon Tears, or just Moon Tears. Um, but I am super excited to do this one with y'all. For those of you that do not know me, I have been playing World of Warcraft since launch, basically, since vanilla, and I have gone through at least 5 expansion launches in the past. I'm pretty excited about this expansion launch, and I'm really excited to get into topic today, which is how to prepare for the War Within, which is the next expansion. We're going to be taking steps to take prior to the expansion launch, which is on August 26th. For those of you that got the upgraded edition, your launch is on the 22nd, I believe. So we want to do these steps beforehand. But first off, we do need to walk through a couple of definitions because defining this is going to help you determine where you need to be um, with your one of your steps. So, do realize that I love every player that falls into each one of these categories. I have personally fallen into each of these categories at different moments in my life. And so, I just want you to understand that if you're a casual player, if you're a progressive oriented player, if you're a hardcore raider or hardcore mythic pluser, you have a spot here at Unity and we love you and value you. But we do need to define those because it's going to change the different types of research mostly that you're going to be doing. But casual players, these gamers usually, but not always, have less time to spend on gaming, and that's why they're normally casual players. Um, and gaming isn't always a priority for them, which, it's video games, y'all. Like, we got to prioritize life. But common goals in this category is going to be hitting max level in game, maybe kill a couple of raid bosses on normal. That'd be awesome. But mount farming, questing, transmog farming is something that these gamers really enjoy. Now, the progressive oriented gamers, they're normally looking a little bit more into raid, a little bit more into dungeons. Mind you, there's big gaps between these levels, so realize you might not fit in exactly with one of these, but the progressive oriented players, they usually spend about 8 to 12 hours a week on average per season. Now, I say that because when we have a new season launch and when we have especially a new expansion launch, that 8 to 12 hours might go up for quite a few of us, yeah. But that's on average throughout the whole season. And then towards the end of the season, there might be 0 hours. But on average, that's what it looks like. Common goals in this category is going to be AOTC achievement. So getting the last boss on that season raid down on heroic level. Maybe even some mythic raid prog, but like not huge. And then BIS and all gear slots, at least on the heroic level. That's pretty cool, right? And then raiding and dungeons are usually a fun way for these players to spend time. Now, the hardcore raiders and hardcore mythic plusers, I don't even quite put myself in this category right now, y'all. I did at one point in time, but right now, but usually these gamers are spending 15 hours or more on average throughout a season each week. Common goals are going to be ahead of the curve, which is where you get I put ahead of the curve, and I really meant cutting edge. That is a huge typo on my part. I meant cutting edge. Common goals are cutting edge and or the tormented, draconic, etc. hero title. That is the top 0.1% on the Mythic Plus IO scores. Um, Normally these gamers find raiding and dungeons fun. They take a much more serious attitude and atmosphere to their progression. So just realize you know, not all of us fall in that category, and that's totally okay. But we do need to find those. All right. Let's go into our 4 steps of preparation. We have a research phase, we have an in game prep phase, we have a break phase, we also have a 2-week phase. So the research phase can be ongoing and it can start and end at any point in time. And this is why we also made those definitions on if you're a casual, progressive, or hardcore player, because your research is going to look different based off of your goals, which is also what type of player you are. Um, and that will determine how much time you need to spend in research. So, casual players, they're normally going to be just determining what tune they want to main and why. And then some players also enjoy spoilers, but I've noticed a lot of casual players really just enjoy going through the game like verbatim. They want to enjoy it when it comes out, when it's done, when it's ready. They don't want to go through beta and like find all the bugs, right? Now, progressive oriented players, they're going to do all the above of the casual players. And here's why I also mention determining what tune you're going to main and why. Because a lot of times there's going to be major changes to classes and specs with a new expansion. So you need to figure out if your current main, if you still want to main that current main, because you might change your mind based off of the new hero talents that we're getting, off of the new oh shoot, off of the new estimated damage or heals per second, or if they're meta class or not. So you need to determine, are you going to keep with that main? And here is why you want to determine that too now instead of when it launches, is because during that prep phase, it's a lot easier just to prep one or two characters instead of prepping all of your alts, right? So do realize that you might want to determine that beforehand. All right, progressive oriented players, so they're going to be determining their main class. It might be getting some spoilers. But they're also gonna wanna make sure that they have their best spec and talent points ready to go, and any adjustment to their rotation, or playing style because of their especially because of their new talent points and their season 1 tier set. You want to know that going into, that way once you get there, you're already prepared with that information, it's already ready to go. Additional research time could be added in there into maybe new raids and dungeons, depending on how progressive oriented you and your raid team are. Now, the hardcore raiders and the hardcore mythic plusers, they're doing all the above. So they're determining what their main is. They're also determining if their spec is changing, if their rotation is changing. And then they're going to become very familiar with all the mechanics of season 1 raid and or mythic plus dungeons. I say and or Mythic Plus dungeons because we also are including our Mythic Plusers that are just like that's just what they do. They don't raid. Um, and vice versa. So, a hardcore Mythic Pluser isn't going to be focusing on raid mechanics, but they will be focusing on Mythic Plus mechanics. Y'all, just a reminder: these are the people that are going for cutting edge and top 0.1% of Mythic Plus IO. Um, but they generally know going into like once season 1 launches, they've probably already done all the bosses on heroic at least on beta. And if they haven't done that, they've watched video after video after video preparing themselves. So their research time is going to be longer. All right, let's go into I included two more categories in this section. Raid leader and content creators. Let's go into raid leaders. So they're doing all the above. All of that. They're figuring out their self, their tune. They're figuring out their rotation, their new hero talents, their season 1 tier set. Then they also need to start looking at their raid. They need to prepare their raid roster now, not 2 weeks before launch. Y'all, if your raid leader is not preparing until 2 weeks before launch, it's going to be really hard for your raid team to go into the raid and hit your goals in a timely manner. Even if you are just going for normal, I really recommend preparing your roster now. You want to know who's coming back. You want to know what spots you need to fill. You need to figure out, do you have 5 tanks? Because if you have 5 tanks, you're probably not going to be down on a lot of bosses, y'all. So just a heads up there. Start your raid roster now. Start a document that's tallying everyone. What class are you planning on playing? What role are you planning on playing? And then this also gives your raid leaders time to recruit. Um, there's gonna be some gaps that fill, and also you wanna recruit a little extra. You wanna bulge out a little bit because most likely, some folks might not like the new season or might not be happy with the raid group once it comes back in together. So you are probably gonna lose a couple people in raiding. Life happens. But I suggest over recruiting just a little bit to give yourself a little bit of cushion. That way, once raid does start in season one, you're already prepared. You already have your raid roster. You know supposed to be showing up. You know what roles everyone's going to be playing. That way, you don't show up on day one of season one and go, okay, we have 25 people here, but we only have one tank and no one's willing to tank. Right? That would be a bust. That would be really unfortunate. If you got 25 people all relying on you and the team isn't complete. So I really recommend prepping your raid now. That way you can start recruiting now to fill in the gaps. Also, another thing that the raid leader needs to do now before the season starts is they need to determine raid wide goals for season one. Are you planning on going for AOTC? Are you planning on going for cutting edge? Are you planning on going for normals? You need to communicate that with your entire team. That way, they know, are they a casual player? Are they a progressive player? Or are they a hardcore raider? And then they can base their research on that. If you are a raid leader that is planning on going for cutting edge and don't let your team know, hey, I know we got AOTC last season and we got a couple of mythic raid bosses down, but we're going to go for cutting edge. You need to tell them now so that they can do the research enough in order to get cutting edge because they need to be watching those boss videos now. That way, season one, week one goes really smooth. All right, last up is content creators. So that's going to be like myself. I know we have a couple of other streamers lurking in here tonight. I do appreciate you being around. If you are any type of content creator, if you're a streamer, a YouTuber, Instagrammer, TikToker, whatever it might be, suggest y'all do all the above, right? Do all the above. And one thing that we need to change, because you're also going to be doing what the raid leaders are going to do. The only thing is you need to swap the idea of instead of for the raid roster, raid team for my audience. So prepare your audience now. What will you be playing? Do you need to reach out to a different group of people that maybe you haven't reached out to before? Um, what is the goal for your community now? And you need to keep clear communication with your entire community. For example, I currently we're going to get this example in just a minute. So, um, but then also you need to determine what areas of the gameplay you want to focus on with your content. So, not all content creators focus on hardcore progression. Not all content creators focus on pure entertainment and laughter. And then the other one is educational. So, for example, I'm very educational. I normally talk through what I'm doing while I'm playing. We have Susie who does that so often, but he's really entertainment. He is super entertainment, likes to make everyone laugh, likes to make everyone smile. And then we also have like OP game players. This is like when you're watching like Method and Echo and Liquid stream and they're just doing this. Like you get nothing out of them, right? You get nothing out of them. So be aware that if you are currently creating content in the pure entertainment world, but you plan on being a cutting edge person and realize you need to focus up huge, there's going to be a little bit of a shift. There's going to be a huge shift in your stream or in your YouTube content or Twitter content, whatever it might be. And you need to bring your community from point A of you making them laugh to point B of you're probably not going to be talking too much to them and you're going to be hardcore focusing on the game. So realize you need to make subtle changes. Let them know now, hey, I'm going to be focusing up a bit more on XYZ. But then also as a content creator, you need to prepare your time slots now, where you're going to put your focus in. How many hours are you going to be streaming? When will you upload clips and shorts and videos? We all know that if you want to be a super successful streamer, you're not just on Twitch. You have to start getting your audience from other places. So be aware of that. Plan that now. All right. In-game prep phase. Now that we've talked about the research phase, how much research goes in and out, depending on what you're doing. And remember, research phase can go on and on. So you can start your research now. And I kind of do recommend starting research now. And Depending on how much research you want to do, will depend on like when it ends. You can of course break at any point. But let's talk about our in-game prep phase. Y'all, biggest important thing here. Your in-game prep phase needs to happen now. If you wait to do this a week or 2 weeks before expansion lost, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to make as much gold. You're going to be unprepared for the war within. You need to start this one now. I don't know if I hit there we go. So, what are we doing for our in-game prep phase? First off, you're going to do a bag cleanup. Y'all, I just did this on 2 of my characters. It does take a few minutes. I think on one of them, it took me about half an hour. Why are we doing this now, though, is because you're going to be selling your stuff to the auction house. Right now, there's still a whole bunch of teams that are still running. They're still doing Mythic Pluses. They're still doing Raid. They're still using pots. They're still using Floss. They're still using Feast. They're still using food. Sell your materials now and get good gold from it. That way, when the War Within launches, you still have gold and a decent chunk at that point in order to buy the War Within stuff. Yeah, we all know when a new expansion hits, there's new crafted gear, there's new pots, there's new flasks. All that stuff that we're carrying around in our bags is not going to matter 2 weeks, probably even a week within War Within. So sell your stuff now, especially if you plan on taking a break. Do it now. Don't do it 2 weeks beforehand because then no one, maybe a few people, will be purchasing at that point because they're all done. At that point, everyone's going to be probably taking a break. So go ahead and do your bag cleanup now. Your goal for your bag cleanup is going to be about 100 empty slots. I know that sounds big, but that's really going to prepare you for once you start questing in the War Within. We want your character to be so set up that when you start questing and when the War Within drops, you can just keep going and going and going, and you can, get all the items and not have to worry about running out of bag space. Next thing is running out of quest space. From what I can tell, we still have a 35 limit quest cap. They don't let us see how many quests we have anymore because some quests don't count. I don't know, make it make sense. But apparently some quests don't count, but we still have a 35 limit on our quest cap. That means you cannot have more than 35 quests unless you have some that don't count. And then and then once you hit that, and then you have to start like fumbling around. So what I recommend doing now is go ahead and get rid of any quests that you don't plan on completing. Go ahead and complete whatever quest you want to complete. Go ahead and finish the storyline too. If you are someone that enjoys watching the storyline, make sure you finish up the storyline now instead of waiting until that week before. Now, I did have a good question today about this, about about if you can backlog your quest. And I have not seen any testing on this. Last time I checked, you could not copy characters over from the retail over to the beta to see if you're gonna get experience. So backlogging is where, like, say you have 20 quests that are all completed, but you haven't turned them in yet. You just have them sitting there ready to go. That way, when the War Within opens up, you just fly around, turn in those quests, and you might, already get 2 levels. I have not seen any research on this. That used to be a huge thing back during Wrath. I think Wrath is like the latest that I've seen something like this, but it was a huge thing during Burning Crusade and Wrath. So, I don't know if WoW is gonna let us do that again this season. I don't know if that's a good idea. Once again, this might be, something else to keep in mind for research. But honestly, I'm going through, I'm deleting all my quests. I'm making sure that I only have the minimum amount of quests. I have a couple that I want to complete. And that's it. That way, once I'm in with the War Within, I'm going to have empty quests. I don't have a whole bunch of numbers telling me to go here and there and whatnot on my map. But also, two, I'm not going to get stuck at a point where, I need to pick up 4 quests in an area to do, but I've hit my magical unseen 35 limit quest cap that not all quests count towards, and I can only pick up 2. And then I have to fumble for a minute or two, figure out where I want to go. So, once again, we're just trying to capitalize on time now. That way, we don't have to spend time later when there's nice, awesome new content on. Also, another thing to realize when the expansion launches, there's going to be some bumps and rough spots, and a lot of those usually pertain to add ons. Y'all, you need to do some add on maintenance. What does your UI look like without your add ons? Can you game? And when I say game, I don't mean just walk around. I mean, can you function in game and survive without your add ons? And here's why I recommend this. The first couple of days, some of those add ons are going to be glitchy. And sometimes you're not going to be able to figure out which one it is. So you need to make sure and go back through, take all of your add-ons off, see what your bars look like, see what your UI looks like. Can you survive that way? If not, you need to change your UI in game base to be able to. Um, it normally only lasts the first week or two, and then things progress well. Although with this new like partial launch thing where we don't have season one starting right away, deadly boss mods and big wigs and all that might also be glitchy once that first week of season one. So be aware of that. All right, so that's our in-game prep phase. Honestly, y'all, this should only take you about 30 minutes. So just be aware of that. And I recommend, like I said, get it done now. That's the most important thing about it. All right, a break phase. I know not everyone's going to take a break phase, but I really want to encourage everyone to. Also, your break phase might look different from everyone else's break phase because this phase will look different for each player again and is to help prevent you from burning out and neglecting real life time. Yeah, I think the majority of us have some sort of family, whether if you're a parent or a child or brother or sister. You have someone that you can spend a little bit of face on face time. So I encourage everyone during the summer to go ahead and take a break. Determine how long of a break you need and how much limitations you need during that time. So, for example, someone might take a WoW break for 4 weeks, but they still play other video games during that break. That's totally okay. Now, someone else might say, I need 2 weeks completely away from the computer. In fact, I'm going to turn off the social media on my phone. I'm just like burnt out with screens. That's also totally okay. Everyone's break is going to look different, but you do need to determine how long you need to be away for, what limitations you need to set for yourself, and then when you're going to come back. And here's why you need to figure out when you're going to come back because you need to communicate your break time to your community. Friends, here at Unity Gaming, we are such an amazing, loving community. If you are heavily involved and you just suddenly gone, some of us are going to start getting worried about you. So please communicate to your close friends, those that you're normally participating in a lot of events with. Communicate them to them. Hey, I'm going to be gone for so long. I just need a break. We'll see ya at this date. Or, hey, I'm not gonna be on WoW so much anymore, but I do want to game. So if you want to go check out Fall Guys with me, like let's go game some Fall Guys. Communicate with your friends. That way, when you come back, your friends are like, oh, yo, I thought you just like kind of died or disappeared or something. Right. Especially if you are a content creator, raid leader, have any particular leadership position, you also need to communicate, hey, I might not be fulfilling my usual leadership roles right now. Um, I'm taking a break. This is when I can be back. I'll be checking my roles at this point and this point. So I will get to eventually. Just like give us all a heads up, right? And then also something I really, really, really want to encourage on this one is pre-plan some real life fun. Y'all, if you're taking a break from WoW, most of us play WoW for fun, right? I hope everyone plays WoW for fun. I know there's some people that make money off of WoW. Um, there's not many of us here at Unity Gaming that do. And some of us that do, it's very minuscule, right? So realize that if you're taking a break from your fun, you need to replace it with some more fun. So if you're taking a full video game break, make sure that you're scheduling some sort of fun while you are gone. Otherwise, you're just going to be miserable, and that's not what we want in our break. We need this break, step away from WoW to take a breath, but we still want to have fun. If you're taking it just a WoW break, I still encourage you to schedule some sort of real life fun. And then something else I really want to encourage everyone to do as well is to try some real life development or difficult task and try and get it done. So, for example, myself, um, I homeschool my oldest. He is, well, I should say my middle because I don't homeschool my stepdaughter. I homeschool my son. He is 5, so we just 4. He'll turn 5 in September. We just did pre-K last season. I got curriculums. I just bought pure curriculums and we went with that. This season, I bought curriculum for his literature, but I didn't buy curriculum for his math or science or anything else. So during my break this season, my break's going to be in June, July. I meant what you knew. During my break, I'm going to be writing his curriculum for his math and his science. It is something that is real life development for me, and it's going to be a difficult task as well. I'm excited about it though. I'm excited to learn something new. I'm excited to develop myself outside of the video game. So I want to encourage everyone to go ahead and try and find something that is some sort of real life development or difficult task to get done. It also makes you feel proud about yourself, right? All right, let's get into the 2 week phase. So the 2 week phase is the 2 weeks leading up to the War Within launch. So for those that do not have early access, that's going to be August 11th through August 25th. For those that do have early or that if you have early access, your 2 week phase starts August 7th. All right, once again, preparation is going to look different for each individual based on their own real life situations and personal in game goals. I cannot stress that enough, y'all. Like, it's okay that if you don't fit into a certain category, it's all right. First thing though, you need to finalize any steps from the in-game prep phase that you didn't complete already. Please don't be that person though. Please get it done now and then take your break. Don't do this. You're just gonna make your question harder. I want you to level in an enjoyable environment where you're not getting stuck because your bags are full or your quest log is full. And then go ahead and double check your research. Um, there might be some major changes to a class or to a dungeon and raid mechanics um, that didn't happen until after your research is done. So I recommend going over through your research one more time, making sure that it looks good. Um, and then make adjustments accordingly. So, for example, if you had already done your research and was done, which some people are kind of already, um, there's a new shaman rework that's coming out on Tuesday, supposedly. Don't hold your breath. I didn't say anything. There's a new Ellie shaman um work through. And so that might change someone's idea of what their main might be. They might have planned on maining, I'm just gonna throw classes out there. Maybe they plan on maining Shadow Priest, but they really enjoy Ellie Shaman. And with a new rework, Ellie Shaman's looking pretty hot. And so they might want to change their main tune, which means they need to go back and do more research. And they might need to go back and get that tune ready. All right. Um Next up is pre-plan any time off from your work or in life responsibilities. Yeah, I can't stress this enough. If you live in a house with people in your house, talk to the people in your house. I'm gonna be letting my husband know, hey, when the War Within launches, I'm gonna be nerding. So something I'm doing is we're starting homeschool early August, and then that way when the War Within launches, I got some time, y'all. I'm gonna take a couple weeks off from homeschool. So I'm gonna tell my husband, hey, I'm gonna be gaming a lot here. Is there anything you want me to do before I game a lot? Communicate that to your spouse or to your family or to whoever it might be, your work. Hey, I want a couple days off. Prepare that. I've been in the 2 week phase. Could have gone a little bit earlier, maybe, but in that 2-week phase, make sure everything's gone through. Make sure that your time off work has gone through. Recommunicate to your spouse, hey, this is launching again here in 2 weeks. Do I need to do anything around the house? Any major projects you want done? Um, should we go take the kids out to go do something fun? Whatever it might be, communicate with those in your real life situation that you want a game. Doesn't want a game. And also during the break phase, you might want to let them know, hey, I'm taking a gaming phase. I'm taking a gaming break now because here in a little bit I'm going to be gaming a lot. So just realize, we're giving a little and we're going to take a little later, right? Meal prep. I really want to encourage everyone to have some healthy meals and snacks prepared beforehand and have readily available once it's time to go. Um, I think quite a few in our Unity community are parents, and so, for example, I'm gonna be trying to find some meals that I can freeze that I can just throw in the oven and have ready to go. We like to do a lot of home cooking here. We live out in the boonies, so it's like 30 minutes to the closest restaurant. It makes it kinda hard, to get dinner and whatnot, so, um I wanna meal prep a little bit. I also encourage to have healthy snacks. Make sure that you got some snacks around that will good. Fruits and veggies are awesome, y'all. And then time fillers. Um, like I said earlier, I've been in a lot of WoW expansions. I can't reiterate this enough. Prepare what you can do when WoW is down that can help your life run smoother or your game time run smoother. Y'all need to have something ready to go because I'm gonna be real. For those of you that missed the Dragonflight launch, the boat not showing up at the dock was a real thing. I was there. Um, during was it Kata? There was a door that didn't work that like blocked off half of the raid. Like there's been all types of times where WoW didn't function quite right. And suddenly, when you thought that you would need a whole bunch of game time, you suddenly had game time. I cannot talk about how many, what are they, DDoS attacks, whatever the heck they are, where the servers go down because there's too many logins, or the wait time is an hour and a half to get into a server. Friends, you are going to need some type of time fillers. Please have a book on hand. Talk to the wifey. Say, hey, wifey, is there any project that I can get done near the computer so I can still keep my eye on the computer, but get done for you, during this time. But at the same time, it won't hurt if it doesn't get done. Like, be prepared. It's gonna happen. There's gonna be something that keeps us from gaming. I don't want to say I want to bet on it, but I'm pretty confident that that will happen at some point in time between launch day of WoW Within, the War Within, the WoW Within, great. The War Within, and up to two weeks of first raid. Like after first raid launches, there's gonna be something that doesn't work right. And if there isn't, then I am very impressed, Blizzard. You're getting your stuff together. All right, that's the end. So the next presentation for July is we're going to be I'm gonna cut off a little bit. That's all right. We're gonna be doing a WoW walkthrough on the War Within dungeons, a basic walkthrough. Yeah, I try and keep these down to half an hour, so we ain't gonna be able to have time to get it in depth. But I did want to take a look at the 8 dungeons and put eyes on them with y'all. Alrighty. Once again, if you are not part of the Unity community, I highly recommend coming and checking us out on Discord as well. You can check the link in my bios wherever you're watching on this. We are just a very loving community, and we have all sorts of people that are willing to help out in every different way. So